Motivation is a liar. It shows up when things are easy. It disappears when things become uncomfortable. And that's exactly why so many people never become who they want to be. Because they built their entire life around waiting to feel ready. Waiting to feel inspired. Waiting to feel confident. Waiting to feel energized. But successful people, they don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. And discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you build. Because the truth is, most of your life will happen on days when you don't feel like doing anything. The workout, the studying, the business, the editing, the writing, the healing, the growth. Nobody talks enough about those silent days. The days when your energy is low. Your confidence disappears. Your emotions feel heavy. But those are the days that actually shape your future. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to stay disciplined even when motivation completely disappears. Not with fake positivity. Not with unrealistic routines. But with real systems. Real psychology. And practical methods you can actually use every single day. Most people think they're lazy. But in reality, they're emotionally exhausted. There's a difference. And if you've ever started something with excitement, only to quit a few weeks later, you know exactly what this feels like. At first, everything feels easy. You wake up motivated. You watch productivity videos. You make goals. You imagine a better version of yourself. But eventually reality arrives. The excitement fades. The results are slow. The work becomes repetitive. And suddenly your brain says, maybe tomorrow. That's where most dreams die. Not because people aren't capable, but because they never learned how to continue when emotions change. And emotions always change. Some days you'll feel unstoppable. Other days you'll feel numb. Discipline means continuing anyway. And no, that doesn't mean becoming robotic. It means learning how to move forward even with imperfect emotions. That's the real skill. Because if your actions depend on your feelings, your future will always be unstable. Why motivation fails? Motivation is emotional energy. And emotional energy is temporary. That's the first thing you need to understand. Your brain loves novelty. It loves excitement. It loves immediate rewards. That's why starting feels amazing. A new gym plan. A new business idea. A new routine. A fresh notebook. A new year. Your brain gets flooded with dopamine because the possibility of transformation feels exciting. But eventually, the novelty disappears. And when novelty disappears, effort becomes visible. Now it's no longer exciting. Now it's repetition. And repetition is where discipline is born. The problem is that modern life has trained people to chase emotional stimulation instead of consistency. Social media constantly feeds your brain quick dopamine. One swipe. One video. One notification. One distraction. Your brain becomes addicted to feeling good immediately. But discipline requires delayed gratification. Doing hard things before rewards appear. That's uncomfortable. And uncomfortable things are exactly what build powerful people. The gym becomes hard before it becomes rewarding. Studying becomes painful before results appear. Business becomes exhausting before money arrives. Every meaningful goal has a period where effort feels invisible. And most people quit in that invisible phase. But disciplined people understand something important. Results are delayed. Your current life is the result of repeated actions. And your future life will be built the exact same way. Motivation says, I'll do it when I feel ready. Discipline says, I'll do it whether I feel ready or not. That single difference changes everything. Motivated people only perform under ideal conditions. Disciplined people perform consistently. And consistency beats intensity every single time. Think about it. Reading 10 pages a day for a year changes your life. Working out 3 times a week consistently transforms your body. Saving small amounts regularly builds financial stability. Small repeated actions become massive outcomes. But discipline is misunderstood. People think discipline means suffering constantly. It doesn't. Real discipline is reducing the number of negotiations you have with yourself. Every time your alarm rings, your brain starts negotiating. Maybe later. I'm tired. 1 more hour. Disciplined people shorten the negotiation. They act before emotions create excuses. That's why routines matter. That's why systems matter. That's why habits matter. Because systems reduce decision-making. And fewer decisions mean less emotional resistance. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That's why people fail after motivation disappears. They had inspiration, but they never built structure. The real reason people quit. Here's something most people never realize. People rarely quit because something is physically impossible. They quit emotionally. They quit because progress feels slow. They quit because they compare themselves to others. They quit because they expected transformation to happen faster. And eventually disappointment becomes stronger than commitment. That's why emotional management matters. Because discipline is not just physical. It's psychological. You need to learn how to continue doing. Boredom, self-doubt, stress, anxiety, low confidence, low energy, frustration. Those moments are part of the process, not signs to stop. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing successful people always feel motivated. They don't. They simply train themselves to act independently from emotion. And honestly, that's one of the greatest superpowers you can develop. Because once your actions stop depending on your mood, your growth becomes unstoppable. You stop waiting. You stop restarting. You stop living in cycles. You become reliable. And reliability changes your entire life. The 7 systems to stay disciplined. System 1. Lower the entry barrier. The first system is simple. Make starting easier. Most people fail because their goals are too emotionally heavy. They tell themselves, I need to study for 5 hours. I need a perfect workout. I need maximum productivity. Your brain resists huge emotional pressure. Instead, reduce the entry barrier. Tell yourself, just open the laptop. Just do 5 minutes. Just put on gym clothes. Just write 1 paragraph. Action creates momentum. And momentum creates motivation. Not the other way around. You don't need to feel ready. You need to begin. System 2. Remove friction. Discipline becomes easier when the environment supports your goals. If distractions are easier to access than productive habits, you'll lose that battle repeatedly. So reduce friction. Prepare your environment in advance. Put your phone away. Lay out your clothes the night before. Keep healthy food visible. Prepare your workspace. Delete unnecessary distractions. Environment shapes behavior more than motivation does. A distracted environment creates distracted actions. A focused environment creates focused behavior. System 3. Stop trusting your feelings. This might sound harsh, but your feelings are not always reliable. Some mornings your brain will tell you, skip today. But skipping repeatedly becomes identity. You cannot build a powerful life by obeying every temporary emotion. Feelings change hourly. Your standards should not. Discipline means learning to say, I understand how I feel, but I'm still going to do what matters. That sentence alone can transform your future. System 4. Focus on identity. Most people focus only on outcomes. I want to lose weight. I want money. I want success. But disciplined people focus on identity. They ask, who do I need to become? Because identity drives behavior. When you identify as someone disciplined, your actions begin aligning with that identity. Instead of saying, I'm trying to work out, say, I'm someone who trains consistently. Instead of, I'm trying to write, say, I'm a writer. Your brain works hard to stay consistent with identity. That's why identity-based discipline is so powerful. System 5. Track small wins. Your brain needs evidence of progress. That's why tracking matters. Use a calendar. Use a habit tracker. Use a journal. Not because perfection matters, but because visibility creates accountability. When people don't track progress, they emotionally feel like nothing is happening. But small wins compound. 1 workout matters. 1 study session matters. 1 productive day matters. Tiny consistent actions eventually become massive transformation. Never underestimate repeated effort. System 6. Build recovery into your life. Discipline is not self-destruction. Burnout is not productivity. Some people fail because they try to become machines. But sustainable discipline requires recovery. Sleep matters. Mental rest matters. Exercise matters. Deep breathing matters. Going outside matters. You cannot expect high performance from an exhausted nervous system. The goal is not intensity forever. The goal is consistency for years. That's what creates extraordinary results. System 7. Master the do-it-anyway mindset. This is the final system. And honestly, it changes everything. There will always be reasons not to act. You're tired. You're stressed. You're discouraged. You're overwhelmed. But growth often happens after resistance. The people who change their lives are usually the people who learn to say, I don't feel like it, but I'll do it anyway. That mindset builds confidence. Because confidence is not built by thinking. It's built by proving to yourself repeatedly that you can act even when things feel difficult. Every time you follow through despite resistance, your identity becomes stronger. And eventually discipline stops feeling forced. It becomes who you are. Identity shift. Imagine becoming someone who no longer depends on motivation. Someone who keeps promises to themselves. Someone who acts consistently. Someone reliable. That changes everything. Because discipline doesn't just build success. It builds self-respect. Every time you follow through, you trust yourself more. And people with self-trust become dangerous in the best possible way. They stop waiting for perfect conditions. They understand that emotions come and go. But standards remain. And eventually they realize something powerful. The life they wanted was never built through motivation. It was built through repeated disciplined actions during ordinary days. That's where transformation really happens. Not during inspiration, but during repetition. So if you're watching this during a difficult season, if you feel stuck, if your motivation disappeared, if your energy feels low, remember this. You do not need to feel perfect to keep moving. You only need to continue. One step, one action, one decision at a time. Because discipline is not about becoming superhuman. It's about becoming dependable. And the moment you stop waiting for motivation, your life begins to change. If this video helped you, subscribe for more videos about mindset, discipline, productivity, and self-improvement. And comment below, do it anyway. Because that mindset might completely transform your future.